long enough. Sorry, my dude.
Get obliterated!
Got him! Just like that. Cosmic here, and welcome back to another Legends of Runeterra video. This one's going to be a little bit different. I don't know if this is going to be like the new standard going forward, because it's like the Wednesday video, and I might just stick with it. But for today, if you want to see just gameplay of the deep deck, I did record 2 games. Those are going to be at the end. But instead of going like through the list because it's been around, I kind of want to take a day of the week to just talk about the list, where it fits in the meta. Is it going up or down as the week is kind of trending? And, you know, how good is it really? So just as a reminder from our meta report that went up yesterday or 2 days ago when you're watching this, here's our list, right? So this is, again, keeping in mind of all the people who are involved in this. There's some more people behind the scenes, but this is all NA and EU ladder that is taken into consideration to make this list. So where are we? Where are we talking for today? So, right, Sea Monsters, also known as the deep deck, because that's what the entire mechanic is, kind of fell down here like at the bottom middle, right? So like 3.5 is really starting to get towards the bottom of the scale. And, you know, some people have been talking about Obliterate is a very strong mechanic. Now, if you're not familiar with it, I'll put the keyword up there, but it basically means that you're removing it from game. And because this is important against the Shadow Isles decks that are running Rekindler, right? So if we scroll down here really quick to a Rekindler list, there's going to be a lot of ways where you can get the value off of getting back Anivia or Braum. That's only if they die. So having that Obliterate up, if they play their Anivia, can be a very strong counter. However, there's kind of a big roadblock here. So with this to line up the way that you want it to, right, you need to have their HP lower than 4, which is going to be very difficult. And then on top of that, you have to make sure that they're not going to have their own response of a Vile Feast or a grasp, right, to deal with the extra damage, because at any time the unit that you're targeting's HP is equal or higher, the effect is going to fizzle. And in the cases with Anivia, that's a really bad thing to encounter. On top of that, they're also going to be running 3 Glimpse Beyond or any Shadow Isles deck, right, that might be thinking about the Rekindler package. So it is very easy for Anivia to counter you. You know, you might win a couple games on the surprise factor, but as the meta develops, you should not be winning these games against the Anivia decks through Obliterate. Now, that said, I think there are some considerations to make where deep is not just, you know, kind of fallen off the edge of the world. So for those that are unfamiliar, I changed the list a little bit. That's going to be in the videos. I did -1 Thresh for a Riptide, and there's probably one other change that I forget off the top of my head. I like this deck. I think it is a very, very solid tier 2, but if you watch my previous video that I released on Monday, it kind of starts to struggle in that area where the late game suddenly shifts where just Anivia is good enough, or just like a Nautilus and Atrocity is enough. But then we very quickly start to accelerate. We find ourselves against like Ladros plus Atrocity, which can be better at closing games quickly, or Karma and Ezreal, right? Or just Heimerdinger with some setups where your Withering Wail is not going to do enough, and they just can burn you out the other way. So it's in this awkward spot where, yes, a lot of the matchups are 50-50. I don't think there's a single matchup where you're going to be necessarily like 60-40. Other than saying, yeah, against burn decks, you're going to have a, you know, kind of a leg up because you're playing Shadow Isles. But then the question becomes, why am I playing Bilgewater, right? Obviously, you have to if you want to play Sea Monsters for the mechanic, but are you really getting the value off of it? You know, is it really, you know, going the distance? So it definitely got knocked down a little bit from where it was previously. So it's not, you know, like the top of the tier 2 where it used to be. It's now kind of more middle or even low, I would say. That said, if you're in a meta where you're seeing a lot of burn decks, then yes, feel free, load this up. If you really like the mechanic, be my guest. But there's other Shadow Isles decks that are really going to be going the distance and just doing it better, right, at the end of the day. Now, that said, right, there was a lot of negative, a lot of confirmation that no, it does not beat up on the Anivia decks, or shouldn't long-term. That's kind of a false preset. And I also wouldn't like to match up against They Who Endure, and that's an argument for, oh, it just comes down to who gets the Atrocity. Kind of. Nautilus obviously is great that it's a standard 13-13, but in that matchup, you should be able to get a equal and or bigger They Who Endures. Maybe not this exact list, but with a couple rolling blighted caretakers, along with, I saw tonight, finally, people are running the Spider spell again, Brood Awakening. You'll get there pretty quickly. I think my record when I went to Masters with it last season was a 15-15. It gets pretty insane. So that was a lot of negative. I understand a lot of people are excited for Deep. You want to hear all these positive things about it. But in reality, what are some of like the better matchups, right? So what I do like this for is that for Demacia in general, right, which hasn't really been picking up, you have enough of the stall package to really grind them out, where that then Atrocity will help you go over the top. So you do have these matchups against like the aggro decks, right? And we're seeing Teemo burn. There was actually another one on here for the elusive burn. As long as you mulligan aggressively and you find those early drops, right? You want to find your Vile Feast, you want to find your Dread Blooms to get your 3/2 lifesteal on, right? As long as you're finding those key pieces, and if you guys want or anybody wants this, watching this wants a mulligan guide and that sort of thing, definitely let me know. I'm going to try to keep the discussion side of this a little bit shorter, and if do like a more proper, deep deck review maybe later on this season or in the next set once we get some more cards and see how it rotates itself in the meta. So overall, I think you are fine to say that, you have a decent matchup against aggro. It's not going to be an auto loss like some of the other ones, but keeping in mind, there are some of these decks, and I think I will give the point advantage, as it were, back to Noxus Allegiance in this factor, because Harrowing, right? Your late game is going to be holding on for a couple life points. Maybe you're down to like 5, and you're really trying to set up that Atrocity plus Nautilus. They're going to be a turn faster for you that they're dropping Harrowing, and they're getting back like a Darius, they're getting back their Ballistas or Legion Grenadiers, so they're getting that easy overwhelm and or over the top damage that's really hard to combat. So yes, you're going to have some games where you just, haha, I gotcha style of things, but it's going to be very hard to beat both that early aggression and having a very strong late game bomb in Harrowing. So I still am kind of torn on Draven, for example, and if that still makes the cut. I personally don't like it in the list. I like having either Elise or even swapping out for some of the Arachnoid Horrors, because it's a fearsome, which does very well against other aggro decks right now. But at a minimum, 1 Atrocity, 3 Harrowing, go for it. It's just super, super strong in what it wants to be doing. And that's kind of where the discussion needs to shift, right? So I know a lot of people are upset about aggro. Naturally, the games are very fast. They're over usually by turn 5 or 6, or around 5 or 6, I should say. And you really kind of get beaten back by it, right? You like, hey, I played 3 cards this entire game, and I just rolled over and died. That feels bad, but I think at least from where the meta is heading, and we're going to see some more shifts. We're going to talk about Heimer here in a second. Aggro needs to have a solid spot to keep Karma decks in check. And this has been going in and out of the meta, at least from my experience from, the preview patches I've been playing. There really was only a single patch where there was a very prominent aggro deck that was keeping the Karma decks in check, while Karma still having enough positive matchups where you could play either, and it's kind of the roll of the dice, as it were, right, and what you're going to be hitting in the ladder. So, and I think that is a good spot to be, right? You want to have this dynamic of where it's like aggro in mid-range versus control and combo, and having those 3 play against one another. Now, again, this is very early on. I'm sure this list is going to, we're probably going to drop, 5 or 6 lists next meta report, right? Because that's how it goes. Week 1 is always super aggressive aggro decks, like the Noxus Allegiance we have. Week 2, which we're currently in at the time of recording this, Shadow Isle starts to come back, has all the lifesteal, has all the delay effects that you want, really starts to prey on those aggro decks, and then right after that, slides right in is Ionia in Ladro's control. And quite honestly, after tonight and what I was seeing on the ladder, other than the fact that I just lost a bet and I have to play TF Ezreal to Masters now, I really think Ladro's control is very well positioned, and I think this is going to a different version of this, but right, I would expect Corvina control to spike over this next week and increase it in overall playability. And now, why do I say that? Let's go all the way down to the bottom here, right? For those that are unfamiliar with this list, and it got hit by Brood Awakening, which is unfortunate, and is going to be a lot of the power that's going to be gone, but Elise and Vi. Elise gives you that early 2-drop that then can give you a Spider, which is good for 2 things. 1, it puts pressure on your opponent for thinking that you're going to be able to power up Elise, and maybe you get her to flip, and that's even more damage. But otherwise, it's just a very strong chump blocker. And then at the other side of this, you also have Vi, which we all know that even after the nerf, and getting an HP hit, she is still very strong at what she wants to be doing, and it's just a bomb of a mid-game threat that your opponent's going to have to answer. And what I really like about this, at least for Vi, is on her level up effect, keeping in mind she's going to burn for 5 damage even if she's removing your opponent's threat. When you combine that with Ladros, who's already going to cut your HP in half, Karina, which reveals the top cards for every spell, deal 1 to your entire side of the opponent's board, you really start to piece together how much reach is in this list and really over that top style of damage when everyone's just trying to play these more mid-range and control strategies. We've seen a lot of this come down where it's like, all right, whoever gets the commander plus mystic shot, Ladros, wins, right? And that could be a feel bad scenario, but mirror matches kind of always fall into that category, which can be super frustrating. So I want to say once more, just for clarity, I really do think that deep decks were oversold based on my experience. Again, at the time of recording this last night in the games that I played, it's a very solid, like mid to low tier 2 deck. Again, if you're seeing nothing but aggro decks in your portion of the ladder where you're at, feel free, queue it up, enjoy the deck. But I would still question, why aren't we playing other Shadow Isles variants or splashes that just do it better, right? And hey, if you're enjoying the list and you're winning with it, that's all that matters at the end of the day. You could hold these tier lists to be the all-knowing truth. I don't recommend that. Obviously, there's going to be good decks and there's going to be bad decks, but at some point you have to find a good deck or at least decent deck that you enjoy playing, because at the end of the day, with everything that's going out around in the world, for a lot of us, this is our escape. This is our fun time, right? And we really need to remember that and really try to appreciate this game for what it is. Now, again, if you're grinding in tournaments, power to you, but I'm definitely going to be more of the, let's brew, let's talk about the meta side of things instead of just jamming, Heimer Vi all day. So this is kind of the last thing that I'll talk about, at least from like this more meta discussion that hopefully is all cohesive and flowing together at this point. It's late, but I'm trying to put this video out for tomorrow. For anyone that's been climbing ladder these last few days, there has been almost zero Heimer in at least in Diamond, and then in Plat when I went from Plat to Diamond. I still say this is a very strong deck, and it's still going to be tier 1, and I fully expect this list to spike towards maybe Friday or Saturday just because of the way that the meta cycles, right? We usually see an aggro dominated phase followed by a Shadow Isles dominated, followed by Ionia. There's usually like a weird mixed variant, and then it goes back to aggro and or just like Demacia, Bannerman style of decks, because what beats up on Heimer, and believe it or not, still beats up on this deck, is just Demacia good stuff. They struggle so much with their removal to remove your giant bodies that they're often wasting several spells to do so, and that gives you enough tempo to close out the game. Now, yes, if they high roll, they get their Vi, they get like triple Flash of Brilliance, you're not going to win those games anyways, right? But previously, what gave this deck problems was Demacia variants, and again, there is a Demacia list on this tier list, so if you're seeing a lot of Heimer Dinger decks, give it a try. So, and again, this is the Team Leviathan Gaming Meta Snapshot. It is available on the website if you want to see it and grab all the codes. But again, I very strongly recommend just about anything in here. It just depends on, again, what are you seeing in your portion of the ladder and what do you enjoy playing? Please keep in mind that is a very important part of it, and knowing what counters what will help you decide what to play. So with that, again, I do have some games, but I wanted to try to have kind of a more of a meta discussion, how the week is developing, and kind of what decks should I be playing, right, coming up. So if you skipped all the discussion, you got to this point, as just a final reminder, my picks for what's going to be up and coming: Heimer Vi, TF Ezreal, Corvina Control, but this one's going to come late. The deep decks, maybe I would actually ledge more towards They Who Endures instead, right? If you're thinking about late game Shadow Isles, it's going to go Corvina Control and then They Who Endures just below that. And that's kind of where I want to be pushing it. I still think Braum and Nivea is good, but that probably stays about where it is in this list. So those are kind of my, and probably Noxus isn't going anywhere because Basilisk Rider is still insane. So that's kind of my midweek meta predictions and kind of what to be playing. But again, if you don't start to see that shift where more people are playing late game Ionia or Shadow Isles, then you might have to just kind of rethink where you're at and what the meta is doing. So again, with that, I hope you enjoyed this kind of quick recap of how the week is going to be going. I have 2 games for Deep that I just recorded straight from the stream because I wanted to still put out some games there if anybody wanted to see it in action. But it's It's a solid tier 2.5, you know, style of deck, really shifting down towards the middle or bottom because the Anivia matchup is ultimately not as good as you would like it to be because it's easily countered by very few cards that they have to be running, right? So it always feels bad to resolve it. And with that, enjoy the games, make sure to stay hydrated, be safe, and I'll see you next time. Cheers. All right. Ooh, with Freljord. So this is the opposite of how that last game played out. We really want to try to find more of our healing and more of our defensive early cards. I feel like even keeping the Grasp can feel bad. Like, we want to find even a Drudge Dresser can be a huge pickup, right? That and Thorny Toad is kind of what we're hoping to get here. This is like a hard thing to mulligan away, depending on which version they're on, because like that is such a big healing. But I'm gonna hopefully get lower into our curve. Yeah, that's a little better. Thorny Toad can go quite a bit of distance for us, getting some blocks. This is the more unfortunate side of it, where we can't really do a whole lot against Fearsome. Yep. So this puts us into a very unfortunate kind of blocking pattern here. It's, you know, it's nice that we have the Crimson block now, but again, keeping in mind that our Withering Wail stacks up pretty awkwardly against Crimson Disciple. Again, with awkward sequencing, part of me wants to put the Jaw Hunters out because it prevents them from playing anything potentially. But then we're running short on the Maokai side of things. So I think I'm going to try to get them to burn their mana and threaten playing a Jaw Hunters on whatever they play. And kind of hope that just buys us some time. That is a good miss for us, but we actually don't have anything. We don't have anything to punish them with it even. Oh, did I burn him out of there? Oh yeah, no, jettisoning early. This is still fine. Blocks like the Omen Hawk. That 5-3 is gonna hurt, but at least we have the chump block for it. Jump up, welcome back to the stream. How's your Tuesday night going? Is it Tuesday now? Feels like Tuesday. This missing was a huge pickup for us though, for sure. I do want to gain some life, and we're gonna have another. We're gonna be playing our Abyssal Eye anyways in the next turn, so this is fine. And then doing this because it's gonna give us a pickup on a sapling here. Well, my standing desk isn't here yet, unfortunately, Lightworks. Trust me, I kind of wish it was. Yeah, those Omen Hawks have certainly buffed something I don't want to see. I guess if they have like a transfusion or something, it's super awkward for us. How much are we off by? Oh, so we're gonna draw a card and actually double jettison gets us there. This is fine. We can do like double jettison Withering Wail. Okay, that's kind of annoying. They can still have transfusions and stuff. Oh. Okay, this is gonna hurt a lot more than I'd like it to. Right, because they're gonna have some kind of transfusions. Not blocking here seems like a mistake, but I don't think I get through if I don't have the Withering Wail this turn. Or there we go. I think we have to block like this just for like the potential that they give us the big ouchies. Ugh. Seeing an atrocity get burned kind of feels bad. I've missed that sound so much. Obviously, the Raider's not going to die, but at least clears up the backside of his board and also gets these two gone. So we're probably going to see a transfusion by our opponent to save one of their cards. Or it's double transfusion, I don't know. And then our Abyssal Eye will thankfully tank the damage over here for us. Ooh, interesting. Okay. Huh. I don't hate it. I think that's like way in my favor. All right, not what I would have, not my cup of tea as it were, but we'll take it. And I'm not gonna play the Jaw Hunters here because I want to be able to trigger the Maokai. Yep, sure, dude. And like they don't have whatchamadoodad. Oh, we can just kill him too with Atrocity, right? Because they're not gonna have a frost effect. Never mind, this is just better. Play this. Grab. Oh, let's say like their own Darius or something. I don't think we have to play safe here because the Atrocity will win it. Yeah, they're not gonna have a frostbite, so we're fine. Yeah, exactly. An aggro deck having frostbite would be pretty ridiculous. Free games, I tell you. So they had both outs in that case, which is pretty unfortunate. Oh, this is the same person again. So they were playing They Who Endures. All right, we're gonna save the second dredge though for Maokai. That feels pretty bad. You know, we do have the Withering Whale and stuff, so we're not just completely buried by it, but kind of hoping that we hit our 3-drop here. And we do not.
Please, I have connections.
Do they have the Elise in hand again? Man, sometimes they really do be like that. You got me. And watch, you're gonna have the Vile Feast as well. They sure do. All right, top deck Vile or Withering or Bust, right? This is why I really enjoy They Who Endures. Sometimes you just get these openers that you don't even have to really rely on that big of a They Who Endures to close the game. And we get very bad draws like that. Fantastic. There's still a world here we can like use the toss, hit this, and then Withering Whale the board and come back. It's gonna take us a bit of work though. I guess we could have played the, I was thinking of playing the Salvage, right? To try to get to deep quicker. Maybe we should have played the Abyssal Eye instead. Watch me like Fury of the... Oh, God. All right, so we are just getting hard countered this game. We have done actual nothing, is what it feels like. Oh! Yep. That's a hand. That's a hand. We lose. we definitely are dead. Meanwhile, our opponent has like 2 cards left in hand, has a perfect opener. Oof. Like, what do you even do in this situation, right? Oh, well, that's gonna be a turn too late because they're just gonna attack out here. Yep. I mean, that actually saves us quite a bit. I mean, we can do this into Nautilus and pray we hit something good. I guess we have to go for the lifesteal even. I mean, we can put them in top deck atrocity range. Oh, it doesn't matter. Yeah, we see what we draw, but they can have the Fear Plus Challenger, right? Okay, that helps out quite a bit. I really wanted to save that for a Thresh. Watch me eat like a Vengeance here randomly. You know, I had to say it, didn't I? My opponents are so good, man. All right, I debated one atrocity out of their hand at least. And we still have a long road to go. And we have double Riptide now for our opponents, They Who Endure. We might just pull it off. And they've already burned a Vengeance, right? So there's a chance. Down but not out. Yeah, sure. We get to draw 2 cards. I guess we have to wait for our turn to draw this. Yep. I guess what's the chance of them having double, right? No, this only costs 4. I definitely think a Ladros deck could do very well right now. I guess our Nautilus is still free to block, right? It's only 11.
Everyone's a guardian.
Through the dark skies, I gotta look for the bright side. I know we're gonna be alright. I know we're gonna be alright.
Yeah, we can't afford to let him grab both, I guess. That's awkward. And then we leave up double Riptide. And then as soon as he goes under Atrocity mana, we're okay. Yeah, we're fine blocking with a 7, my guy.
Come this way. My snacklings.
I mean, they can't double Atrocity us. If they play Atrocity... Oh, no, we just bait them into the Atrocity, right? Because then what? That puts them down to 4? They don't have anything else. Yeah, sure. Never mind, I'm dumb. And now they lose. Should lose. Got him twice. Got him twice with the Riptide, baby. Feels good.